Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to session number 53 of ICF webinar series, which we started last year on 10th of May. Today it's 9th of May, so exactly 1 year. And our presenter for today is Mr. Yatin Joshi. And the topic for today is using Perfected to clean up our copy editing. We already have had a session on Perfected by Daniel Human, and a lot of you have like taken advantage of the discount that you offered to the ICF members. And today we will see like look at Perfected from the perspective of an editor. So over to you, Mr. Yatin Joshi.
Okay. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, Dr. Venkat. So here we go. Now, I have no idea how many of you have had a chance, but assuming that some of you have and some of you have not, my plan is this. We will, in the first few slides, I simply want to orient you to perfect it. So once you have it installed, then how does it work? What do you do? Then I'll take you through a series of matters dealing with consistency and how perfect it sees them. And then lastly, we'll come to the test file and we will see in most cases, perfect it has done a good job. In some cases, it has not. So we'll explore why that was the case. So this is the website of intelligentediting.com. And let me also point out that their blogs are worth looking at, more insights into using Perfected more efficiently. So essentially what it is, it's a third-party add-on. That's what Perfected is. And essentially it is meant for checking consistency within a document. Of course, consistency, we'll elaborate on what exactly it means by consistency. As copy editors, most of us already know that. And once it is correctly installed, then when you open Word, now in addition to these menu options that you will see, you will also see the additional perfected option. So that means it is there available on your screen, it is installed. And it works within Microsoft Word. So the file that you need to check, the docx file, you should have that file open. And then you should click on Perfected. Now, I have Perfected 3. I'm sure whichever version you have, it will show that. So once you click on that, it will start its job. And essentially, it is a program that will flag error. So just as a spelling checker will flag misspelled words, it will suggest the right word, but it will not do it on its own. It will ask you to do it. Either you can accept that change that the spell checker has suggested, or you can override it and type something else, or you can ask it to ignore it. So Perfected also works in a similar way. Once you start Perfected, it will keep running a series of tests. And each time it comes across what it considers as an inconsistency, it will draw your attention to that. So we'll see how it works in. So it runs about 35 odd tests. We'll come to that in a bit. So one after the other, it will keep running these tests. And on the left-hand panel, it will open a panel on the left side of your Word screen. And you will know what is happening at any one point, what test it is running, whether it has flagged any inconsistencies, if it has, how many of them there are, and what they are. And then it's up to you whether you want to click fix, or you just want to make a note of that, or whatever. It also claims to help in imposing a chosen style, because as I mentioned early on, that it will flag inconsistencies. It cannot decide. But if you have already specified a style, then it will help perfect it that, okay, this is the style you want imposed. So accordingly, it will make the suggestions. And if you ask it to fix the problem, it will refer to the chosen style and impose that style. But I would say it's a fairly primitive. It's not like it has the entire Chicago manual installed as a chosen style, and you all need to do is let it impose all the Chicago decisions. No, it's not. It doesn't quite run that way. But we'll see how it works. And at the end of that, once it has run all the checks, it also offers to do some other tasks, like routine cleanup, removing multiple spaces. That is, if you have 2 or 3 spaces, it will replace them with one space. If you want to generate a list of acronyms that are used in your file, it will do that, and so on. So that is what it does. So this is the heart of Perfected. These are the heads that it considers as inconsistencies. So as we will see, under each of this, it runs a series of tests. So some of these are pretty obvious, hyphenation, spelling, abbreviations, and so on. Whereas writing style, I'll come to that, that's a document finalizing. So that's generating a list of abbreviations and so on. So now what I plan to do is we will take each of these in question and see what it considers as inconsistencies, and little bit into a detail. So let's say you have perfected, then you click launch Perfected. Again, my version is 3.3, so it will tell you whatever version that you have. You need to click on that, amongst that, and then if you look at the show, allows you to do. But for the purpose of this webinar, I'm not getting into that. So we'll simply go back to hide advanced and then start. So as it says, you can see here, it says press start to begin. So once you click start, it will launch into a series of checks. As I said, about 35 areas, one by one after the other. So it's sequential. So it's best not to stop that process. Once you start it, let it run until its end. Now about the stage at which you use Perfected. What I do is I don't use it initially. Only after I have copy edited a doc file and it is almost ready to be sent back to the author, only then I will run Perfected. I will not ask it to fix any of these. I simply make a note of what are the inconsistencies it is suggesting, then close Perfected and make those changes manually. I do it mainly because I see this as a test of, I see this as a competition between Perfected and me. That whether I have spotted all the inconsistencies that Perfected will eventually reveal, or maybe too many have skipped my attention. I mean, it's a personal preference. There are some people who will run it twice, once at the beginning of the copy editing and once at the end. It's your choice. But I would still suggest that you keep this spirit up, keep competing against Perfected and see what you find. So once it starts this, as this is simply a screenshot. Now it is talking about hyphenation. So it is telling you, you can see in that red rectangle, that it has found only one discrepancy or inconsistency in the file that I have sent you. And yes, some of you will have noticed that the word far-fetched has been set with a hyphen in one place and without hyphen in another. So now it is up to you to decide whether you ask Perfected to fix it. So if you click on fix and it is suggested, because that radio button is chosen. So as you can see, if you click fix at this point, it will remove the hyphen. If you want it the other way around, you can click the other radio button, far hyphen fetched, and then fix. It will apply that fix. It's up to you. If I'm doing this, I will not in fact touch fix at all, I'll simply make a note, okay, far-fetched needs to be looked at, and then I'll go over to the next one. As you could see here, so it is highlighting that far-fetched, and it is up to you to choose. So this is something you need to keep in mind, that perfected will not make decisions for you. That is your decision, the style guide that you are following. Simple matters such as hyphenation, never hyphenated. No, it will depend on the context. I mean, simple example is, say, up-to-date statistics. Now, if you have up-to-date statistics, you will hyphenate the phrase up-to-date with 2 hyphens. But if you have written, or if your author has written, my statistics are up-to-date, then you will not use hyphen at all. Now, this level of detail you cannot expect of perfected. It is up to you to decide and impose these changes. So now each one we will consider in detail. Now, hyphenation. Now, these are the things that it checks, or it claims to check. Hyphenation of phrases, words, whether you have, instead of hyphen, you have used en dash, instead of en dash, you have used hyphen, compound words, and so on. So simply to give you an example, what would you do? Coordination, you will spell it as with space, with 1 word, 2 words. What about byproduct? Socio-economic, will you hyphenate? So, as I said, perfected will alert you to this, that in one place you have spelled socio-economic without a hyphen, and another place you have spelled it with a hyphen. But it's up to you to then decide that yes, in this case, the hyphenated version is preferred because socio, so O ends in a vowel sound, and the second part, economic, it begins with a political, it would not have been hyphenated. Also, there is a matter of which default dictionary you are using. Are you following UK English or are you following US English? Depending on that. So some style guides would say startup should be hyphenated. Some style guides would say it should be said solid, whatever. So as I said, that is up to you to decide. Perfected will simply flag inconsistencies. But for instance, now I use, as a default, I use Oxford Dictionary for Writers and Editors. And Oxford Dictionary for Writers and Editors hyphenates startup and hyphenates pitch dark. But your mileage may vary. So then spelling. So here again, there are, these are the detailed checks that perfected will run. You know, if you have spelled, for instance, a name with accents, that is with diacritical marks in some points, and without it, it will flag that. Common typos, that's a very useful thing. Most embarrassing one, you people, this is about public and missing the L. So it has such a list of such common typos, and it automatically checks against that. Contractions, if you want to, for instance, in informal style, well, don't and can't and won't, that is with elisions, are acceptable. But in a formal style, they may not be. So you may want to check such contractions. It will flag them for you. So spellings, as I said, could differ because of this. You need to spell the same word the same way. Diacritical mark, for instance, we have used correctly the diacritic mark because the last E in le carré has a diacritical mark. So that is the correct version. Abbreviations, again, most technical documents abound with abbreviations. And again, spell check, perfected is a very useful device, but it will flag all such instances. Whether you have spelled every abbreviation, that is, you have explained it. At the same time, you should also realize that it is a, I mean, it's a program, you know, it's a robo. So let's take an abbreviation, let's say DPI, dots per inch. Now, if your text goes like this, that at a resolution of 300 dots per inch, then in brackets DPI, and the text continues. And then at some other point, instead of using DPI, it will use, if you have used dots per inch, it will flag this. But if you have explained the abbreviation slightly differently, using commas, for instance, so if you can say the resolution of 300 DPI, comma, or 300 dots per inch, comma, whatever, then Perfected does not realize that the abbreviation in fact has been explained, and it will assume that you have not explained it simply because the brackets are missing. So this is something you need to keep in mind of those. Abbreviations defined twice. In fact, that's the point I raised when Daniel Human to us about this. Now, for instance, in most research papers, the caption to figures are expected to be independent of the accompanying text in the accompanying text, but you need to explain it to be freestanding. But this is a logic that Perfected is beyond Perfected, so it will keep telling you that you have explained that abbreviation more than once. Then you need to use your discretion. So these are the things that it checks. At the same time, it might fail in some way. I will come to that in a minute. So PowerPoint, as you know, it's a trade name. The second P also has to be a cap. So if you have spelled PowerPoint with second P as lowercase in some case and uppercase, then it will flag it. Formatting. So whether you have used same words once in Roman, that is once in normal and once in italics, it will flag it. Such inadvertent mechanical errors, such as you have opened a bracket but you have forgotten to insert the closing bracket, it will all catch all these errors. So in that case, in such way, it is useful. About the Oxford or serial comma, I have an issue with Perfected. I'll come to that in a minute. But maybe it is related to version 3.3. Maybe they have taken care of it later. That you can tell me later on. So capitalization, again, headings, whether you have used title case or whether you have used sentence case, consistently it will check that as well, or at least claims to check that. Capitalization, as I said, it is still, again, that it uses, it's a gray area, so you can't always know which is to be capped, which is not to be capped. For instance, the convention is that if the title precedes the name, the actual title holder's name, then the title is capped. So Prime Minister Boris Johnson, P and M will be capped. Whereas if it comes not in this way, the current Prime Minister, so it is small p and small m, or generic versus specific. So Oxford University, yes, you will be capped, but if you are using it for more than one, then you will be lowercase. So this is something, again, where your judgment comes in. Perfected will flag this as an inconsistency. You have spelled university with you have capped university in one case, but you have not in another case, so it will flag. Bullet list also, it's again, so many places where you can be inconsistent, and Perfected is very good at catching capital letters. Some you are starting with the lowercase letter, it will catch that. If you have ended some bullet points with full stop or with comma, and you have left others with no terminal punctuation, it will catch that. So it is pretty good at organizing bullet lists. Then if your documents have these adjuncts like tables or boxes or figures and so on, then it will run through all this. It will check whether they are in series. Very often a research paper, when it comes back from a reviewer, the reviewer may suggest that the author delete some tables or insert some tables. Authors do that, but they forget to renumber those tables. So then again, it's a useful. So all these things, table title, for instance, or whether you have used sentence case for column headings, how you have used punctuation in column headings, all this it will check. Now, writing style, I would say it's a misnomer, because when you think of writing style, I don't think any of us will use this interpretation. All it does is whether the comments are there in the text or whether they have been, you want to remove them. Interpretation of writing style. So when it says that it checks for inconsistencies in the writing style, that is all that what it is doing. I would have thought that it will check for if you have used very informal style in some parts of your file and pretty formal style in some other parts of your document, then it will flag. No, it doesn't do that. And lastly, as I said, it does all these other tasks as well. Once all the checks are run, then it will offer you to do all these as well. So this is what actually Perfectit does. As I said, it's an add-on to Word. It runs about 35 odd tests. Sequentially, it will go on checking for inconsistencies in hyphenation, capitalization, formatting, spelling, and so on. That is what Perfectit does. No, serial comma, I said I will come back to it. This is something I find really very puzzling. Now, mostly I edit academic papers, and be a good device that in case I have left out the serial comma where I should have used it, then Perfectit will catch it for me. But when I started using it, what I realized, it is simply calling your attention. Now, this is my correct interpretation. All that is doing, it is flagging all the instances of and or. Now, in the test document that I sent you, there is this line, must give his days and nights. Now, where's the question of serial comma in days and nights? Why is it calling this as it is in the left-hand window, as you can see in the screenshot? It is listing this as a use of serial comma. I mean, I think it's pretty absurd that you can't just go on flagging every instance of wherever the word and or is used and ask the editor to check whether it's a violation of serial comma or not. Then, well, it is good, but it's not the only thing. There are some alternatives to Perfectit. For instance, you can add even at least one aspect of it, that is checking consistency. Then there are macros, especially those that are developed by Paul Beverly, and I'll give you one or two examples of these. Now, essentially, again, this is my thinking. Perfectit is a collection of macros. So actually what it is doing is it is using macros one after the other and doing that. Of course, it does it so well, seamlessly. But you may want to do the same thing by using the appropriate macro from the collection that Paul offers or from any other collection. That is also an example. Called PubSure, P-U-B-S-U-R-E. You can Google for it. It is essentially useful for those of my colleagues who edit research papers. Now, what PubSure does is, as of now, it is free, but at any point it may become paid one. So essentially what you do is you work it similar way to Perfectit. That is, you upload your file, and the site will run a PubSure check. So it will look at not only inconsistencies related to formatting, but to some extent it is like a spell checker. To some extent it is like grammar checker. though it does give quite a few false positives. But the one thing about PubSure is that it comes up with a number. So it will give you what they call PubSure score. So it is a score that reflects the overall quality of the file that you are ready to upload on the journal's website. So ideally, you should secure a score of at least about 85, and then you can safely upload the file onto a journal's website. But PubSure is also something else you want to catch. You can Google for it, see whether. No, I was telling you about Paul Beverly's macro. Now, in the file that I sent you, I don't know how many of you caught all these instances. But when I ran the macro called proper nouns allies macro, that is what it did. It, for instance, it spotted that the word Colette was spelled differently, once with accent, once without accent, and so on. So it did that once with one L, once with two L's. Then Newman was spelled with one N or with two N's. The word Taylor, Tailor, that's wrong, but it is used. I introduced that deliberately, or with Taylor. So you see, this I don't think Perfected. In fact, Perfected did not catch this, whereas proper nouns allies macro did catch that. I don't know how many of you spotted that. Likewise, when you need a list of acronyms. Now, this is the result of using Paul Beverly's macro, extract acronyms to new document. Now, what is interesting here is the acronym APART, A-P-A-R-T. In the file that I sent you, it is an acronym because although it's a normal English word, apart, it is used as an acronym in the file that I had sent you. And that is why it should be caught as an acronym. Now, Perfected did not catch that because it reasoned that apart, yes, it's a normal English word. So it failed to see that it is an acronym. So that is what I keep telling you, that Perfected is a good tool, but you need to be sure how you are using it. So before I now call upon the participants to tell me what they have done with their file that I sent them, this is my final takeaways. It's a good consistency check. It's useful in giving final touches. But as I have hopefully explained, it cannot flag all inconsistencies. It is your judgment call. So you could also try using macros. And lastly, it cannot decide for you. It will point you or it will flag inconsistencies, but it's your choice. So Vivek, that is what my brief presentation. Now, what I would really like to do is from participants, I would like to hear them what they did with the file that I had sent, or anything else that they may have.
Yes, sure. Thanks, Yatin. If Deepali is present, maybe she can
Sure.
come up with her comments first, because I know she sent you the file.
Okay, sure. Yes, Deepali.
Good morning, Yatin sir and Vivek. I realized there were so many more inconsistencies that I couldn't catch even with manual editing. And thank you, Yatin sir, that
Okay, you rose to the bed.
because
So which ones you did catch? Or rather, which ones you missed out? Let's do that. Which ones you can confess? We won't pitch on you.
I should start, macros is something which I've never been comfortable with yet. So I think I should take the, take help of maybe Pawan or somebody else to help me.
No, at some point I can take you through step by step. We can have a separate session. I will at least make you less fearful of macros.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us the inconsistencies you missed out. Or anybody else can pitch in.
Is it okay if I wait for others to comment and then I look at the file which I sent and then maybe come back with my comments?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, let me put it the other way around. Now, how many of you spotted that the file that I sent you, I had used numbered headings,
Yes.
but some numbers had a dot after them and some numbers didn't. And even more important, the numbers were out of sequence.
Yes.
1.3, I think, came before
3 point.
2.3 or 3.3 came before 3.
3.2 and 3.3.
Okay, so there were people who
mixed
spotted
up.
that.
Yeah, I found out
Yes,
one one sentence was repeated. That repetition of sentence, it was not spotted by Perfectit.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that was
Anything
one thing I
else?
found out.
Okay.
And some self words was closed up, one self word, and then double quotes and single quotes mixed up.
Yes, right.
And then
Yeah, so that Perfectit.
punctuation within quotes and outside quotes,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and parenthetical dash. Some
Oh, yeah.
places it was n dash, some places spaced n dash.
Yeah, but did Perfectit catch that?
Actually, it did not. For me, it did not show in the result, or maybe
Yeah,
I missed
even
it.
I
Or,
ran it and it didn't make because I deliberately used and as parenthetical insertions. Once I have used spaced n dashes, which is the more common European British style, and other places I have used unspaced m dashes, which is the US style.
yeah.
Perfectit did not flag this as an inconsistency.
Yes.
Yeah, good catch there.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Or if you have other queries? So how many of you have Perfectit installed out of these 25?
I installed recently Perfectit 4. I have.
Oh, okay. But that's about it. Huh, Vivek?
No, Mr. Joshi, even I have.
Okay.
Just
I have to.
installed this week.
I too have bought it recently.
I checked
I
with
just bought it myself. I bought
Yeah,
it too.
I checked with Daniel and he said 16 ICF members have bought it till now.
Yeah.
So, and because the discount is
Maybe
still on,
some of you have bought it, but maybe you have not installed it yet, or I don't know. Yeah, Pura, you have.
I've bought it. I've just run it, I think, on one document so far. And what I found was it doesn't tell you anything about sentence structure. It basically tells you more about inconsistencies.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Like, for instance, if you don't know a spelling between, supposing you don't choose UK and US, and if you don't know the difference between a spelling of MUSTACH mustache or MUSTACHE, it doesn't tell you which is right or wrong.
Yes.
You need to know the spelling.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
that was a thing I found. And of course, if you run the UK spelling first, then you know that the spelling is wrong. But in case you do it without choosing UK or US, you need to know the spelling. So a lot of things, or like the hyphens, for instance, unless you know what it is, what is right or wrong, you need to make your own choice. Yeah. But if your construction of a sentence is wrong, it doesn't tell you in Perfectit.
No, but it doesn't promise to do so either. So.
No, it doesn't even point it out. That's what I'm trying to say. Like if you're doing a word check, a spell checker, it points it out. You know that there is something wrong when you're doing a word in a Word document. But in the Perfectit, it doesn't point it out. That's what I noticed.
Okay.
Actually,
It's like,
one
if you
place
look at it,
this master was spelt as macer in the document that you had
Sorry.
sent. In the document that you had sent,
Huh?
instead of master, it was
Huh?
MASER. That error was not spotted by Perfected. Like
Oh,
commonly,
okay.
but sometimes it shows commonly misspelled words. There is an option which points out commonly misspelled words.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Joshi.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Go ahead.
maybe if we can customize like by adding such words which are like that public example, whatever you told,
I think
maybe
so.
it will.
I think Perfect it allows some kind of customization. I have not really probed it further, but it should be possible.
it might help if we understand how Perfected works. See, what it does is it takes the entire document, breaks it completely into independent words. Okay, hyphenate words or independent words. Okay, and then it tries to match these to look at inconsistencies. So that is all it actually does. Okay, so behind all the 35 tests, there is simply one core engine, and this is the function it does. Simply breaks down the entire document into words.
Yeah.
See, for example, when you showed me coordinate or something, some word you told, right? So suppose you had it as coordinate as two, separate words, and then one is closed up. It may not catch that because, okay, it will not catch that co and ordinator as
a single word.
Catch it as two words. Okay, it will not catch it as
With
one
space.
word. So you will find that it will not catch certain things, and it definitely Perfected doesn't promise you anything about catching sentence structure or something. It's simply it's not part of the thing at all.
That's point taken. Yeah.
See, but what I liked about your presentation today was, see, most people know particularly when you give somebody a tool like Perfected, and it'll catch so many things. They'll be so thrilled with this. Okay, they'll get the feeling that the manuscript is already very well edited. I mean, you made it clear that okay, there are so many things it will still fail to catch, and you need to run different macros to be able to catch some of these things. So that is very good. The thing about
Thank you.
Capitalization, Taylor, and Colette and all that. I mean, those are things where Paul Beverly's macros stand out far ahead. And the one thing that I felt is, earlier, you'll be very familiar with this. You do so many different tasks, and you take up one thing, finish off that. Then you take up one more, finish off that. So it's actually you're compartmentalizing a complex job into small things, and then you make sure you're doing everything. Now with Perfected, it takes the whole thing and then simply runs it very fast. Okay.
Yeah.
So it gives us an illusion that it is doing a lot of things. It is doing certain things, no doubt. Definitely, we have to agree with that. But what Paul has done is he has given it as different small chunks. Maybe it might look as there are too many.
I mean one. That one has to remember that it's a tool, but it's Cora. You need to unmute.
Mr. Joshi, I have a question.
Yeah.
For example, in the document that you have sent, it has missed out on punctuation errors. That is something that I am not able to.
Can you flag anyone?
For example, commas.
Well, if you will notice that, first of all, I don't think I have changed any comma at all. But
for example, if it is missing a comma, like if I feel that there should be a comma there.
No, for instance, a common example is when you have a phrase that begins a sentence. Let's say, in 2021. Now, some people will place a comma after that as a beginning phrase because it qualifies the rest of the sentence. But if you see, if you consult Chicago or if you consult most books on punctuation, they will give you an option that it is up to you whether you want to separate the beginning phrase from the rest of the sentence with a comma or not. So I won't say it's an error. That second thing is, in fact, it's very interesting that this was copied verbatim from Somerset Maugham's The Summing Up.
Okay.
And I remember reading in one of his biographies that his publisher was Heinemann. So Maughan sent in his manuscript, and some maybe junior copy editor dared to meddle with Maugham's punctuation, and he was livid when the copy got back to him. And then, of course, Heinemann had to cajole him and say, no, we are sorry, and we will. So he was, in fact, particular about his punctuation, but punctuation is a matter in many cases. I won't say there was anything downright can be classified as
no, just an example here. For example, there's this, unfortunately, I had no one to help me.
Yes, exact,
So-
perfect example. Now you would probably put a comma after unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the word also, the Word document also flags it as an error.
Well, I can't say for word because I don't use it for grammar check. But this is, in fact, this is exactly the kind of example I was talking about. That unfortunately, if you want to separate it as a phrase because it applies to the rest of the sentence, comma will not be wrong at all. But absence of a comma cannot be considered an error either.
Not
You
an
have the
error.
ability there.
I am not saying it's an error. It's a matter of choice. So does perfect it flag it as, or does
No,
it?
I don't think it will, because where's the inconsistency then?
Yeah. So punctuation
The
errors are normally
inconsistency
not
will be-
pointed out.
Yeah, it is not. See, that's what I told you. The way it works is it simply breaks down all the content into words. So it's not going to look at punctuation.
That's all. I just
Okay.
wanted to know that.
Yeah, no, in fact, you should make a distinction between an error and an inconsistency. And perfect it is focusing on
Only on
inconsistencies. It is up to you to consider whether it's an error and fix it or let it go.
Yeah. So for fiction editing, I feel perfect it is perfect for non-fiction and
Yeah, absolutely. Then you have
STEM editing. I think
perfect. Yes. I think that's put it in very well. Yeah, perfect is much more useful for those who are editing non-fiction, especially scientific and technical.
Scientific STEM.
Surely.
Yes,
Yeah,
STEM
absolutely.
editing. Yes.
So that's a good point. Yes.
See, Ninad says it's just a proofreading tool. Okay, it's absolutely right. It's a proofreading tool, but unfortunately, the website is called intelligentediting.com.
So it would never check for inconsistencies of use of verbs either, right?
No, there are so many things it cannot check, but you can customize quite a few things.
Yeah, okay. So inconsistency of use of verbs, if you're using the wrong tense, it wouldn't check any of it.
No. I don't. Think so.
Okay.
No, it
I
will
think
not.
Grammarly does some of that.
Yeah, this is a very mechanical thing. So it's it's saving copy editors some hours or minutes of their work.
But please don't bank on Grammarly. It might catch a few things.
I
Please
know.
don't
I
bank
know.
on-
I don't know. No, for fiction editors, I feel
Yeah.
Grammarly is better than Perfect It in some ways. When you say you want sentence structure or past tense and present tense and catching all these errors, then Grammarly, may point out these facts.
Yeah, but those of you who edit research papers, you also should check this PubSure thing. Just Google for
Yes, I
PubSure.
just Googled that. Yes.
Yeah.
But again, it is, I think, for STEM editing better than for fiction editing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that again. Yeah, STEM puts it very well. Yeah.
Yatin, when you use PubSure, does it take your document and put it through their servers or something?
Yeah. Yes.
Does it work like Xerox? It goes through their server.
Yeah, it is something like that. So you need to be. I mean, I don't think you should have any reservations about the security part. But yes, you need to upload it on their website, and it will return a score and a list of. It will send you a file with all the errors listed one by one, and a final score it will show you. So I wanted to ask you what do you say? Is my interpretation about the serial comma correct? It is simply flagging all the instances of and.
Yes.
But then, you can't call that check for serial comma. How do they do that?
I think if there are already 2 commas in the sentence and 1 comma is missing before and something like that. That is what I'm
No,
guessing.
it is highlighting, at least the version I have 3.3, it is highlighting simply everywhere the word and occurs.
Okay.
I mean, we can wait even till Monday. Monday work பண்ணுவாங்களா அவங்க இல்ல?
Also, I was wondering why Perfected did not catch the errors in headings. See, you will, if you will notice, some of the headings are in title case and some of the headings are in sentence case. Likewise, one heading is in bold, one is normal. But Perfected did not catch any of those.
Hi, Yatin. I think in Perfected 4, it was that error was it flagged those errors.
Oh, great.
I used the version 4 and it definitely got those.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
But
I was not.
Yeah, but regarding the punctuation, especially about quotes, open and close quotes, and punctuation, quotes and full stop
bracket,
before and after that.
Bracket,
Those it did not even flag them.
So are you saying that Perfected 4 flagged the inconsistency in the capitalization of headings?
Yeah, even I found it caught that.
Not in your document.
It caught the sentence and the upper and lower case and headings. Even I used Perfected 4, it caught that, which I had missed.
Yeah, for me also.
I used it in other documents and then it got it, but not in the document you sent us.
But why should it
I
have no idea.
Okay.
Brackets mismatch it caught. Perfected 4, it flagged all the quotes and missing brackets and missing quotes error.
No, missing quotes, bracket, even my 3.3 also did that. But I was wondering whether, you see, amongst the headings, one is in bold and rest of the headings are in normal. So did any version catch that?
No.
No,
it doesn't catch
that
that.
has not caught that. It hasn't.
Okay.
Even the period
If you don't end the full stop in a quote, also it catches that. Supposing you don't close the quote, if you haven't put a full stop at the end of the quote, it catches that.
Oh.
In the 4. Version 4, it catches all that.
It doesn't
And
catch
version 4 also flagged all the instances of and if you choose, if you opt for serial comma.
No, it hasn't for.
No, I don't think it did.
It didn't. It didn't.
It didn't. So maybe they've done an improvement over version 3.
Because I had introduced that as an inconsistency. In some couple of places, I have not used serial comma, and many other places I have used the serial comma. Didn't catch that.
So if you Mr. Joshi, it didn't catch that. It did catch the brackets and open quotes.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. That is a
In
purely
your document.
mechanical
I'm talking
thing.
about your document.
I mean, Perfected is
And
ideal
then-
for such mechanical errors.
Yes, just the mechanical errors that's all.
Okay, one quick question.
What
Does
I
anyone have to
wanted
see?
to ask was, for fiction editors, is there any tool that is better than the Perfected? Perfected seems fine after you finished editing and you have done all your job, and if you have missed these kind of things, inconsistencies here and there, I noticed it did catch. But like Nirja was talking about Grammarly, besides Grammarly, is there any other tool that helps fiction editors?
Paul has a number of macros.
I find Grammarly extremely slow. I can edit
as
faster
Dr.
than
Venkat
Grammarly.
said, the macro, especially the macro proper noun lies, that may be useful in fiction because at least it will ensure that you are spelling the character's name consistently throughout, like Taylor with Y or I.
But
So
that
there's a
even
macro.
Perfected catches. Perfected catches spelling errors of. If you spell
See,
the name wrong, it
it
catches
didn't.
it.
But see, in the test document, it did not catch that once it was spelled TAYLOR, and another case it was spelled TAILOR. I mean, the TAI was the error I introduced, but it didn't catch that.
Yes, for me also it didn't catch.
Whereas proper noun analyze macro caught that.
Only call it, it caught.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So proper noun analyze might be useful in fiction because it will list all the proper nouns and you can just check they're all spelled the same way.
And it doesn't catch even spaced M dash and closed up M dashes.
Yeah, it has not.
And
Did
1
Perfected
point
4
and
catch that?
No,
No.
no. If you have introduced that here, it didn't show
I
us
have.
anything about.
You will see in one
No.
instance. In fact, let me just do one thing. See how it's going to work. Just give me a minute.
Yatin, you'll have to repeat
I
yourself.
want to share
Because,
that.
Yatin, you'll have to repeat yourself because I think we lost you.
You can see my screen file.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What I'm saying is now, and I have flagged all the inconsistencies. So I'll just quickly run through them. Is that okay? Are you able to see my doc file?
No, I cannot.
Yeah.
The screen shows key takeaways.
Yes.
Oh. Okay. So pause share. Just one sec. It's that Word document that I wanted to share. That's the problem. One sec. Are you able to see it now? Word document? No?
No.
So what do I need to do to get that?
You must have a stop share. You can press the stop share and then new share.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
New share should be able to.
So, yeah, okay. One second. Now I think I've got it. Yeah, great. Thanks. I think that should work. Any better now?
Yeah, we are able to see your screen.
You can see Word document? Yeah. Okay. Now just quickly we'll run through because I've highlighted these. Now you see here the first heading is effort to absorb style.
Yeah, it's in sentence
And
case.
that is numbered 1 with
without a dot.
One has no dot after that. Then Taylor, as you see here, I had introduced an error because it is spelled actually correctly Taylor, but I had made it Tailor, so it should have flagged that. Then here you see it is parenthetical insertion with spaced n dashes. You can see that?
Yes.
Natural, discrete, and pointed. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now here you see the second heading. I have put a dot after 2.
Yes.
Whereas the first one, it was just one space. So that was an error. Okay. Now, yeah, this almost everybody perfectly caught it, that there is no closing bracket. Right?
What about self-consciously? Self-consciously
Though the spirit
It
is
didn't catch for
willing,
me. For me,
there's no closing bracket. Yes?
Self-consciously, it
Now
doesn't
here,
catch.
you see, I have put a subheading 3.1. The original spelling, I have simply retained it. I have simply retained the original spelling. Anyway, so 3.1 lucidity. Well, there's now here you see, one is it is out of sequence. 3.1 and then it is 3.3. Actually should have been 3.2.
Yeah.
Also, you see, it is 3 dot and then 3 dot.
Yeah.
Whereas in earlier one, it is just 3.1. There is no dot after 1.
And there's no
So
dot
that
after
again
3
is
also.
consistency.
And there's no dot after 3.
Or figures. I can read.
Hallmarks of good prose.
So that is what I'm saying. That simplicity, it is 3 dot, 3 dot, 3 dot. One is that it should have been 3.2. And then it is up to you whether which style you want to follow. That is, you want to give the dots or not. Then you can see that 1 is highlighted. I can read 1 page of Ruskin. So original actually had it spelled out O-N-E. I simply made it to 1, numeral 1, and it caught that, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. There is one other thing. I don't know how many of you noticed. Some paragraphs, new paragraph is signaled with a first line indent. As you could see here, it is obvious that, but other cases they are separated with space without a first line indent. That's also an inconsistency. Then here, yeah, now here you see parenthetical insertion, but with unspaced M dashes. See that? Yeah,
Yes.
so that is an error.
Yes.
Then, of course, this is double quote and single quote, so that is caught. Now here
Yes.
there's 3.2, but there is no dot after 2. And of course, it is out of sequence. It should have been 3.3. Then he spelled with a cap, whereas all the other headings were in sentence case. Yes? Got it? Grammar and usage. And concluding remarks, again, R is cap, but it is normal. It is not in bold. Whereas you see the previous heading, grammar and usage, it is in bold. So that again is inconsistency in headings. Concluding remarks. Now far-fetched. So in this case, it is hyphenated. In another case, it was not. Now here, this is what I mean. Here you see the paragraphs are separated by extra white space. Whereas some other paragraphs, new paragraphs are signaled by first line indent. Then, yeah, the French author's name is diacritical mark, whereas others don't. Here, far-fetched is without a hyphen. And this is new para signaled with the first line indent. Even Newman, Cardinal Newman, actually it's only one N. I had inserted one more N, so that it didn't catch. And this was a separate para. Now you see, WI, it has not been explained. And apart, actually it's an acronym, Assam Agribusiness and Rural Transformation Project. So it should have caught it as an acronym, but it is not, because it's a proper English word. Now this last thing, I simply typed this, playing with spacing between degrees Celsius, but it didn't flag any of those. So these are the errors. Some should have been caught, some were not
Some
caught.
of these we'll have to customize them.
Yeah, possible. Yes.
That is why it's not catching these. If you customize these, it might catch some of these.
Right. Okay. So I'll need to explore that and see. About wind up. Oh, one big question for those who read the test document that I sent. I'm talking about the substance. What do you have to say about Somerset Maugham's effort to be a better writer? Does anyone have anything to say on that? I mean, see how much effort he put in to be a better writer. That was, in fact, another reason why I chose this particular passage
The
from
message is behind the expert. Huh?
Can you hear me? This is Abha speaking.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
This writing by Mom is actually something that editors would benefit by, especially the fiction editors, because this piece is pointing out how much effort is really required. And things like Perfected are actually help to finalize documents in terms of style, in terms of the look, in terms of the formatting. So this is something very important to understand, that editing fiction, editing the work of a great mind or a very imaginative person is a very big challenge. And it has to be approached with some humility, which was one of the themes that...
Thanks, Abha. Yeah, I mean, that's why I purposely chose this passage.
Yes, it's wonderful. It was a great choice.
So I have one question. Like,
Mom is a personal favorite, of course. Yeah.
I did want to ask, Venkatji mentioned
Yeah.
customization. Could you spend a little time on how you customize in this?
And see, right now I don't have Perfectit installed on my system. I need more time to
See, it
play
is to
around
do
with
with.
that.
See, anyway, I will send you the PowerPoint presentation. In one of the few slides early on, you will see that for each there is a series of tests, and there you can customize. You can click on that tab, and then maybe you can
Yeah,
explore
as a
it.
starting point, I would suggest you again look at, we don't have that thing in YouTube, this presentation.
No, but there are 9 tutorial videos on the website which explains everything.
Okay, but maybe you can look at, Yatin also mentioned that, the blogs as well as the videos.
Yes, yeah.
They explain the customization part.
Okay.
Yeah, there are videos also.
So I have one question. Like, if we miss something, like some checks, it is doing in a sequence that Perfectit 4. By mistake, if we skip and move to the next one, how to go back? Sometimes it is not allowing to go back to the previous.
Yeah, yes, it is always a problem.
You mean to say that undo function is not active?
No, undo, I go to the Word document and put Control Z. That is okay. But some checks, if I overlook and if I miss it, then I'm not able to go back and do the same check again.
I think you can restart the whole thing.
Yes, that is the only solution. That's true.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
In fact, that is why I prefer that I would simply keep on making notes of the inconsistencies it is flagging, and then go over and introduce them manually. I find that works easiest for me. So I don't have to stop Perfectit. I'll just keep making notes.
Okay,
Raji, do you mean to say that the go back function is available for some tests and not for all of them?
Actually, I haven't noticed it so carefully. Maybe next time I will do it. But sometimes, if I do it fast and if I miss something, I'm not able to go back and do the same check again. Even manually also, I can choosing that particular check and doing it again, it is not allowing.
One suggestion: please don't do it so fast.
The same thing. Then something you can't go back.
Yeah, maybe I have to
I've
slow
seen
down.
competitors doing that, repeatedly doing it fast.
Sometimes it helps to run Perfectit before editing and after editing. So sometimes I find that after manual editing, if I run Perfectit, it would have caught the many errors or consistency issues which it has not picked before. It sometimes helps me in picking up even those which I have introduced during manual editing. So that's another way of overcoming this issue of missing out what Perfectit has missed.
So thanks Yatindra, thanks all the participants, and
thank
I think we need to realize what Perfectit can do and use it for those things. What it missed, we can pass on the list to Daniel Human. We can also
Sure, yes.
also take advantage of the discount offer that's on till 31st of May. And one of the things for me, like the biggest help that I have got from Perfectit has been that I have been able to load my style sheets in Perfectit. So I work on different journals, and maybe in the morning I'm working on one journal, in the evening I'm working on another journal which has a different style, and it's difficult to remember. So rather than miss things and then get a feedback, it's better that you spend some time feeding your entire style sheet. Once you do it, then you can be sure that you won't miss even a single point when it comes to style.
Okay.
So that's
So maybe Vivek can do a webinar for us on customizing Perfectit.
Or maybe Daniel can put in something more for fiction editors in it. That's a feedback he needs to have. Right now, it's only for academic editors. Maybe he has something in for fiction editors, something on that lines of Grammarly.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, I would say even for fiction editors, at least maybe if a name is spelled differently, because fiction will have a lot of characters and they will have names. And if it's a big book, the writer is going to miss, like, we can't be sure he spelled the name of the character correct throughout the manuscript. And perfected should be able to catch it. At least to that point, it should be helpful to fiction editors.
yeah, because a lot of fiction editors are more interested in the language than in the punctuation and the minor things. So in that sense, fiction editors will find this a nice cue. Because fiction editors, they're not so much into, catching whether there's a single inverted comma or a double inverted comma. A lot of them probably would miss that. So I guess that sense, yes.
Ruchika is a dig at us.
See, perfected picks up these words and then looks at mismatches, whereas Paul Beverly's pronoun, proper noun, analyze or whatever the name is, it picks up all these proper nouns and then alphabetizes them. Okay, that way it is able to catch.
Yeah, exactly.
The way the two tools, two things work, they are very different. Okay. And Paul has got quite a few macros for fiction editor.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, he in fact keeps on organizing sessions, and he also posts on the ICF Facebook.
In fact, one of these days we can ask him for a session for ICF.
Yeah, we can ask him, but he is already offering sessions to those who are like scared of macros, or so he is already doing that. And
but he can make an exception. I'm sure.
We actually tried more than a year ago before the pandemic. Maybe Unfortunately, we had just 2-3 people. Okay, just me, Vivek, and Murugaraj, and that's all I think.
Okay.
It's a very sad thing, actually.
So after that, I stopped taking the risk with foreign speakers. If people don't come, then I don't want to it shows us in a very poor light. But still, it has been 1 year, and we have had session by Daniel and by Sarah.
Yeah.
And next week's session is by Malini Sood, Malini Devdas from Australia. And we have been doing the sessions for 1 year. It's time to grow.
Okay.
And the session is titled How to Grow Your Freelance Business, because the main thing that I keep hearing from all the experienced or seasoned editors is that they are overwhelmed with work. They have a lot of work, they simply don't have time. So those are the issues that Malini will address, how they can grow their business, whether it's taking on other people or subcontracting their work. What are the problems involved? What are the challenges? What are the solutions? So that session will be next Sunday at 11 a.m. And for the travel series, we will have true stories by Indian cyclists. Some of them are even Guinness Book of World Record holders, and we will have 3 speakers who will be presenting, plus ICF member Neera Jain, who has edited a book on cycling. It's True Stories of Indian Cyclists. That book is titled Take Off, and her daughter Malvika, she runs a cycling community on Facebook. It's called Cyclop. So do take a break from editing. We all are under lockdown, so the travel sessions do provide us a break, a distraction, a refreshing break. So other than the Sunday sessions, please keep coming for the Saturday sessions at 4 p.m. also. That's all for now. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks, Yatin. Thanks to all the participants.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.